I think the Melflufen story is very interesting. And just as we were talking earlier about belantamab mafodotin, if you think about that as an antibody drug conjugate, in which you're targeting BCMA and you're delivering auristatin as the warhead, which is a cytotoxic, Melflufen, in a very different way, is a highly targeted cytotoxic. And it's a mistake, in my opinion, to think of it as glorified melphalan. It is absolutely not. It's a peptide conjugated chemotherapeutic, which means that it's delivered to the target, delivered to myeloma in a highly deliberate way. Melflufen is a very lipophilic compound. It was originally called J1, and its chemical name is melphalanflufenamide. But again, I think you would need to focus on the flufenamide to understand how it works. So it's lipophilic. It's delivered to the myeloma cell because obviously, and by contrast, for example, melflufen is lipophobic. So that gives you an immediate clue that they are quite distinct. And then this is where it really stands out. It's dependent on a targeted cleavage by aminopeptidases within the myeloma cell. So it's trapped there and held within the myeloma cell and delivered into the nucleus. And that's where the melphalan part of it becomes more active, because it's delivered into the nucleus. So it's a very specifically targeted agent. It's 50 times more potent than melphalan in terms of cytotoxic killing preclinically. Most importantly, in animal models, it's clearly active in melphalan resistance. And also it's anti-angiogenic, and in model systems compared to melphalan, that doesn't happen. What was also particularly nice at the EHA meeting is there were a number of presentations outside of the Horizon study showing this ability for the molecule to overdrive p53 mutation, which is actually not what's seen by melphalan, for example, unless you take the dose up to sort of astronomical levels. So there is really a targeted construct to this. And the lovely thing about the drug is it doesn't cause alopecia, it doesn't cause mucositis. It does cause myelosuppression, which we'd learned from the 012M1 study, which we just published in Lancet Hematology. So what was Horizon? Well, Charlie, Horizon's a very large international study, 157 patients strong. And what we presented at EHA was an update on the results, and in particular a look at the extramedullary population and on safety. And the good news is that we're seeing a very consistent signal in terms of overall response, and about a third of patients are showing partial response or better overall. If you drill down hard on the extramedullary population, the response rate is 24%. And it's important to recognize that almost all these patients they're all relapsed and refractory. They're almost all triple class resistant and penta exposed. And so this is really a quite impressive result for such a large number of patients from a multi-center international setting, very real world. The drug itself is given at a fixed dose by infusion once a month with dexamethasone, once a week. So in the context of COVID, for example, there's tremendous value to that simplicity of exposure or treatment. And the infusion only is about half an hour. So it's really a very convenient outpatient drug. I think what we're excited about, Charlie, is we're seeing a consistent signal in this very large population. And amongst the side effects, myelosuppression, again, manageable with growth factor support, dose interruption, dose reduction, but nothing non-hematologic. So what we're seeing then is a sort of setting where you can actually have, a myelosuppressive drug, but no mucositis, no alopecia, and an infection rate that's quite low. In fact, the rate of serious infection was under 10%. And on the trial, we had no treatment-related mortality. So that's very encouraging for this study. So that was our update on Horizon, Charlie. And you made the very important point, where is it going? And I would just say to you that in terms of new directions, combination strategies are looking very encouraging. And there's an ongoing study called the Anchor trial, which is combining melflufen with proteasome inhibition, bortezomib, and with daratumumab. And that's going along very nicely. Finally, there's an ongoing phase 3 that's close to a full enrollment, probably later this year, comparing melflufen and dexamethasone to pomalidomide and dexamethasone. That's led by my colleague, Pieter Sonneveld, and that trial is currently ongoing.